Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir.
Good evening. Nozvat. We are going to play a mixture of Breton instrumental music and Scottish songs because I have been living in Brittany for 22 years, but I am Scottish. And as far as the Scottish songs go, the others do not have any choice.
You don't neither, by the way. You don't
So
have
do
any choice.
you all know where Brittany is? Big silence. Do you know where France is? Do you know where D-Day was? You come down from D-Day, the Mont Saint-Michel, and there's a bit that sticks out. And the bit that sticks out is Brittany. There's lots of islands that go around it. So from the bit that sticks out, we're going to play some music.
And we're going to start with une suite des ronds de Loudéac. And Loudéac is a town in the middle of Brittany, which is... C'est Gallo, Loudéac, ou pas? Oui. Which is a Gallo area, which means it's a part of Brittany where they speak French, but it's a dialect, very, very strange dialect. Jean-Michel will tell you all about that later on. And this dance is a dance you dance, we dance at the Feshnoz every Saturday, Friday, Saturday evening. All the people get together, old hands like that, and they dance together for hours. And it's a lively dance, very fast dance, made in 3 parts. The first round, the second round, but in the middle there is a bal, which is a quieter part of the dance where people get together as couples, and they just walk, but they walk in a special way, and then they can relax for a minute, and then they dance again. So first round, which is a fast part of the dance, bal, and then second round. Okay, we'll play it to be easier to understand maybe. Sorry.
C'est ça la danse.
So here we go. Do you understand much better? This was a dance from the middle of Brittany. So now, maybe Jean-Michel will explain another set of tunes, which is more or less like a bus. You go into a bus and you go through Brittany. No, sorry, it's after. There's a song from Jamie first.
Yeah, we will let the Scotsman express himself for a little bit. Jamie will sing a song and we'll accompany him on that.
Anyway, we don't have the choice.
We have no choice, no other choice than to put him to work. So.
Do you know where England is? Yes? It's just underneath Scotland. And Scotland...
It is squeezed between Brittany and Scotland, in fact.
And Scotland has always had problems with the downstairs neighbours. And this is a song which results from one of these problems, which was a battle. And this battle took place on a place called Killiecrankie, where the Scots actually cheated. They waited until the English army had gone through a gully, and on one side the part of the army that had the guns was there, and the other side of the gully was the part of the army that had the bullets. So they won. This is quite exuberant. The refrain is quite exuberant, so we do this in a rather exuberant manner and quite exuberantly too. So. The Braes of Killiecrankie. Brolad, come ye by Killiecrankie, oh, and if ye had been know what I have been, you would not have been so can't you, oh, if ye had seen what I seen. The Braes of Killiecrankie, oh, a fochted land, a fochted sea at, aim a focht with my auntie, oh, but you met the devil, and ye on the Braes of Killiecrankie, oh, if ye had been what I have been, you would not have been so can't you, oh, and if ye had seen what I seen. The Braes of Killiecrankie, oh. Glad on the Braes of Killiecrankie, oh, if ye had been what I had been, you would not have been so can't you, oh, if ye had seen what I seen. The Braes of Killiecrankie, oh, a fine Mackay, a Garsey lion, the bush a hint, the Brankie, oh, you'd better cast in what is left than come to Killiecrankie, oh, and if ye had been where I had been, you would not have been so can't you, oh, if ye had seen what I had seen. The Braes of Killiecrankie, oh, it's me shame, it's me shame, it's me shame to shank you, the silver sleds on Athel's Braes and the deals of Killiecrankie, oh, and if ye had been where I had been, you would not have been so can't you, oh, if ye had seen what I had seen. The Braes of Killiecrankie, oh. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take you on a little trip now. Let's think as if it was a bus trip. And we will leave from a little city, very small city, called Redon, in the southeastern part of Brittany, not very far from the Atlantic Ocean. And we'll leave from there and we will go along the coast to the west, to the Breton-speaking area. And doing that, we will stop in 6 different places where there are very distinct dances. So the first one is a 6-beats dance called Ridé. Then another of these circle dances, well, most of those dances are circle dances. We'll play Tour, which is a very quiet and slow, beautiful dance. Then we will continue with a dance called Lariden. And this dance comes from the Breton-speaking area. And the way we will play it is with a very different scale of the piano scale, something quite different, as you will hear soon. And then we'll play another dance more in the east again, going up west, to Lorient, main city of the southern coast of Brittany. And this will be a quejash, which means a mix of 2 dances in Breton language. Then we'll go north to the central Brittany with a dance, one of the most spectacular dances called Gavotte Pourlet, Gavotte and Bro Pourlet, which is a dance where at the 8th beat, the last step of the dance, men jump very high and clack their heels above their heads. And then we'll finish with the fastest Breton dance called Laridé Gavotte from the area of another town called Pontivy. So everybody in the bus, and we go for this little trip called, in Breton language, Baléaden, which means a little promenade or excursion, as you like. Okay.
Thank you very much. If you want to know a bit about the instruments we are playing, it's not typical formation from Brittany. It would be more singing and bombard playing. We will have bombard later. But flute has been introduced in Breton music by such people as Jean-Michel. Wooden flute, sorry, with the accent. And it was much played in Ireland. And now it's played in Brittany a lot. Guitar was much played in America, and but you know, it's kind of a universal instrument, so it's played in Brittany since about 20 or 30 years now, currently. But more recently, with this type of guitar that Nicolas can explain now, if you want.
Well, okay. Well, it's not a special type of guitar, it's a special tuning of the guitar. The tuning of the normal tuning of the guitar is mi re la si mi E D A G B E. Isn't this? In English, sorry. But the normal, the standard tuning, and this one is tuned as an open D tuning, which is D A D G A D, and it's more or less, we'll say more than less, coming from Irish music and the Irish influence on Brett and Young musicians, because the guitar has been played in standard tuning about 20 years ago in many bands, but since the Irish music went up and up, young guitar players, and no, we'll say old guitar players that was young at one time, like Swati Beryl, Gilles, picked up this tuning and worked on it, and it's the kind of tuning that works really well with this kind of music. So what else could I explain about my instrument? I could tell a story, but I don't think it's worth it. What about the bouzouki?
This is a bouzouki. It's like this is an instrument as a hybrid of several instruments to get the result at the end. So it meant lots of pollinization, lots of crossing things to get what we have here, which is a flat back. The bouzouki that you might know, you might have seen in Greek films or something, is a very popular instrument around Greece, but it has a round back on it. This is a flat back, which might be more, give more volume to the instrument, but it's also a lot easier for me to play because the round back goes, it slides all over the place.
It goes
I know, it's always done that. It's always done that.
Yeah, sorry.
That was even before I was pregnant. It did that.
And this is, of course, mandolin, violin, absolutely normal, like you and me,
about that.
with almost flat back and a bow. And it's used traditionally in most of the countries in the world now, and in Brittany it had been played and then forgotten after the wars. But in the west part of Brittany, which is the most of the music we are playing, we know there was some violins there reading books, you know, of the 18th or 19th century, or sometimes on the churches there are some statues with kind of fiddle, but there is no trace, there is no cassette about that period, so nobody knows the way they were playing. But now, since about 20 years, many people are playing it in Brittany. Thank you very much.
Flute, as Christian said, is popular in Brittany has been popular since the last 20 years. We got it from the Irish, even though the Irish themselves got it from anywhere, because it was an instrument popular all over Europe at the 18th century. This flute is a flute, the model called simple system flute, which was just after the Baroque flute with one key, or no key at all, Renaissance flute. And then the boom system flute, you know, the metal flute you all know, silver flute that is played in orchestras. So this flute was in between. And what happened is that lots of people in Europe left those flutes because they thought they were not good to nothing anymore. since silver flute was easier to play to certain for certain techniques, and for the tuning, to keep it in tune was easier. So the wooden flutes were left aside in the attics of the houses until the Irish people and some other people as well took the flutes and started to play them. So the Irish took English-made flutes and started to play them. It's funny to know that at the same time people in the Caribbean did the same with the French flute of the colonies there. And you still hear wooden flute in Cuban music. But we in Brittany heard the Irish musicians because we have so many connections with them, and we fed, literally a revival from their music. So this is how the flute landed in Brittany. But now, 20 years after, lots of flute players in Brittany don't use the Irish technique and the Irish fingering very much. Some don't use it at all even. So we have created more or less a distinct way of playing it, typical of the needs of our music. And I'll explain about this instrument there that you will hear very clearly in a few minutes. This one here, called bombard. I'll tell you more about it, but first I think we'll put Jamie to work with a great Scottish song called Jesuit Mount. And then we'll get back to Breton music with the bombard.
This is a very, very old ballad in which a young girl called Annie finds her father who remarries, which means that she has a stepmother, and the stepmother does not like Annie at all. So one day, while the husband is out hunting in the castle grounds with his guests, the stepmother says to Annie to go to the master cook and tell him to prepare the meal for that evening. Annie goes to the master cook. She says, you must prepare the meal for that evening, and the master cook takes an enormous knife and splash. We do an instrumental. When we come back from the instrumental, the husband has come back from the hunting, but he refuses to eat until he has his daughter Annie to cut his meat for him. No one can find her, and eventually a little kitchen boy says, if you want to find your daughter, you must open up the pie that is on the table. So he opens up the pie that is on the table, and inside, all minced up and cooked, is Annie, cooked with parsley, fines herbes, coriander.
Happy Halloween.
This is a kind of Scottish recipe. So the father isn't very happy. So what he does is he takes the stepmother and he burns her at the stake. He takes the master cook, he puts his feet into metal boots, and they fill them up with molten lead, which is great when you're in Chicago in January and you're cold. Okay? And the little kitchen boy who had actually tried to save the life of young Annie, the husband rewards him with lots of land, with lots of money, and he even offers him the hand of his daughter with parsley, fines herbes, coriander, those kind of things.
It's a nice end.
It's better than haggis. Un, deux, trois, et un, deux, trois. There lived a knight in Jesuit Mount, hunting he did ride, oh, his footmen all attending him, and his horsemen by his side. And they found out in Jesuit Mount a pleasant sport and play. His lady goes exceeding fine to hear the masses play. Called on his daughter, to come to her speed, to go and tell the master cook to dress her in a straight, to go her message for to tell young Annie fairly ill. She has gone to the master cook, a message for to tell. He man dressed the dow, the fur and milk without, but in the barn shines safe fair, there's none safe fair to show. Here is a penknife in my hand, what would leave the other life? Without the doubt, the diamond, listen to your father's wife. Up then spoke the kitschy boy, he spoke loud and high. Oh say for Annie's life, bake me in your pie. No, I'm not say for Annie's life, no, not for such as me. Oh, without a muslin lady's life, the butcher I will be. When day was done, the night was come, and they were all at dinner. He's called on his daughter, and he come and carve his dinner. Up he rose and away he goes, an angry man to see. Oh, one big Tommy Tower, not to life at any sea. Oh. Up then spoke the kitschy boy, and he spoke loud and high. And you man, you're for Annie, see you man break up the pie. Her mate it was a Vincent small and faucet by the fire. Cussed be hard on the stepmother, for it was hard as iron. It's 90 years old, blood and black, for his Annie say. And he has caused the earl stepmother to blunt at the stake. He has caused the master cook and boil and let me stand. And he has made the kitchen boy the arrow of his land. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I will switch to this instrument, which is, so what I said, the bombard. So if you want to know how it's spelled, you spell it B-O-M-B-A-R-D. It's also called talabard in the Breton language sometimes. It's an instrument with a double reed. It's a family of the oboes. Well, it's really a sort of ancestor of the oboe. And you find in the family of the oboes other instruments quite similar in China, in India, in North Africa, and even in Cuba, but this one comes from the Chinese immigrants. But none is as loud as this one. Of course, this was an outdoor instrument, sorry. Since I play it indoor, I try to prepare the reeds so that it won't hurt your ears. So it's a little bit less loud than it should be normally. And besides, it comes normally with a small bagpipe, typical in Brittany, called binyukos, or binyubian, which means small pipe, or old pipe. It has one drone, and it has a very short chanter, where you put the finger to play the melody. It's one octave above the bombard, and it's very shrill. So both together are called le couple, a hoop in Breton, and the sound is twice louder than just the bombard. So I'm afraid I'll play it now. And and you hear those, if you go to Brittany, you'll also hear those played in big ensembles called bagadou. B-A-G-A-D. Bagad is an ensemble.
Same tuning as the guitar.
Bagdad. This ensemble was created in the 50s because the Breton music was in a bad shape at that time after the two world wars. because so many young men of Brittany were dead, and the music was in a very, very bad shape. But a handful of young people at the time decided to revive those instruments, of course, who were still in use in some parts, and they created something introducing the Scottish pipes, because we had already a lot of connections with the Scots and the Irish. They introduced the Scottish bagpipes, or the Highland pipes, or war pipes, as you like, and they made this ensemble similar to the Scottish pipe bands, except for they added the bombard, several bombard, which makes it as well very, very loud. So if you go to Brittany, you might probably hear that. There's a lot, especially in southwest Brittany. So I think we're going to play a dance called Andro from the southern area of Brittany, a place called Brovenet, Pays Vante, so wall area where there's a lot of tunes.
The Andro dance is a dance which is quite simple. People are in a chain form, and they hold themselves together by the little pinky, and they do a movement like this. At the same time, they go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 with the feet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Often in summer, there are lots of tourists come to Brittany, and they like to dance the Andro. So at the end of the evening, you can find lots of pinkies on the floors. If you hold too hard.
Thank you very much. Well, as it's a kind of demonstration or thing like this, you are welcome to ask some questions if you have some. I will be happy to answer to them if we can.
Well, if I choose a Breton tune, if I would play it in the Irish way, the first people who started to play flute in Brittany would play that way at the time. But we thought about it, and we thought it's not right. It's not the right drive for a Breton tune. So I'll play it both way. I'll choose a tune, I'll play it both way. Maybe you can see. If I was playing it with sort of an Irish fingering on somewhat Irish drive, I would play this tune from southeast Brittany like this. So I'll play the same piece with the way one of the possibilities you could phrase it in Breton music. There is not only one way, but you'll see that the phrasing, the tonguing, and the fingering is quite different. You see? Quite different.
We cannot see the people. If you could put a light.
Well, if you have questions, just shout. Oh, yes? Sorry?
Yes.
That's what you call a straight question.
In my village, I'm very famous.
The postman knows him very well.
It's a taxman too, unfortunately.
How to answer?
Don't be shy. The kids this morning were asking 1,000 questions, including very interesting questions like, do you have pets at home? That was cute.
No question.
Oh, yes. Oh. Well, I think we all have fun. The thing is, I hope. I wouldn't use the word improvisation, even though there was improvisation in all traditional music, mostly in the singing, I would say. In Brittany, there was certainly a type of singing that is almost lost, where the people would have a very simple tune, and they would just make up improvised words and variations on the tune. All what we do is mostly variations, which means we both work a unison. We have the same idea of the tune, how it should sound, and from there, we will take some freedom, to. And if you don't play Breton music like that, I mean, traditionally it was played like that. You can't just play a tune straight as if you are reading notes, And besides, we don't. Three of us read music, so three read music, but they don't really use it a lot when they work on this type of repertoire. Would use it sometimes
to remember the tunes.
to remember tunes or to the chords. but really we learn by ear, and variations are to be worked. You think of it and you play them. You know, it's not written. It's not written. And in that way, you're right. It's not written. It's a bit towards improvisation, but it's not as if a blues man or a jazz man would improvise. It's not exactly the same.
It's almost an hour now.
Yes, you're right, Christian.
We've been playing in the 80s. The band was formed in 1981, and we split in 1987, and then now we are 13 years after. In 2000, we just reformed. We made a new repertoire last spring, and this is our first tour since we reformed. So yeah, I'm afraid, yes.
We all play together in different sort of formations, different duos or in other groups. It's not as if we haven't been playing together, even though this group split up. Most of them would be in summer, no?
Yeah, like
Majority.
There are I will not say thousands of festivals now. You know, there are many and many. Mostly in summer. The biggest ones, the well-known, are in summer. You know, Lorient, Quimper, and so on, Rennes, big towns. But there are many and many festivals in the country too, in small places. And even in winter or in spring, you have many associations who now organize big festivals where you can find 10,000 people. And it's now it's almost every week somewhere. You know.
The most well-known festival would be in Lorient, which is an international festival where people come from. You even have Scottish pipe bands that come from Japan. There are musicians come from Australia, and the edition that was this year, it's always in August. There was a band from Texas. So this is a very, very big festival. And summer festivals are often organised because Brittany, having a coastline all around, means that there are lots of people go there for their holiday, to go and for the sea and for the rain too, because it rains a lot. You know it's summer in Brittany because the rain is hot. But out of summer, there are festivals which are very interesting too, because they're not festivals that are destined for a tourist audience. I mean, when I mean a tourist audience, I mean numbers of people paying to get in, really. So you do have things that are interesting in winter too. We will be playing on the 22nd of December in a small festival in the centre of Brittany, which will only be Breton. There'll only be Breton people there. Lots of musicians.
Oh, but not to forget the festivals which subject is not traditional music exclusively. Like there is a big festival of Baroque and ancient music in the north of Brittany, and there is also the biggest festival for the number of people all over France is in Brittany in the summer. It's called the All Plows. There is traditional music, but also rock and jazz and all sorts, and pop. It's the biggest audience that was for the last 3 years in any festival in France. Stars like Iggy Pop, Joe Cooker, John Baez were there playing already. So this is not exclusively, but also Breton groups play there. So this is an enormous thing, but it's not exclusively traditional. So we have not only traditional music in Brittany, of course.
neighbors.
This is my sister. This is my mother.
My pet also.
Everyone needs good neighbors.
And Christian's dog. No, Christian and I, the group, in fact, started when we were at an anti-nuclear manifestation, which was a festival at the same time. I met a guitar player and and Christian, which led to the start of this group when we met Jean-Michel later on. That was in 1980, about there. Nicholas is very recent, but Nicholas has been playing with lots of other people.
And we phone in.
That? Oh, yes.
No. Not true. Only 4 strings at 6
And there's
strings.
8 strings.
Yeah, but the double.
4 pairs. No, it depends on what you want to do. Depends on the thing you want to do behind. What? I can't see you anymore. You can do. This is the way that we both play is that we mix melodic lines with chords. But we're very good, huh?
Very easy.
Yes.
A different story for every one of us, more or less. I'll start because it's probably the more simple for me. I was born on the north coast of Brittany, and I grew up in a family where brothers and sisters, big family, many children, where my older brother and sisters were dancers. So I started when I was 11 with dance. I was a dancer first. Then I started Bombard to play with a dance band and tour a little bit with him, with the dance band, with it. And later, as I said, I got interested in the Irish music. I met many Irish musicians, and I started to play flute and work on it. That's it. And this is when I met Jamie, Christian, and then Nicolas.
Yeah, it's mostly by our parents, like, even if it's because they used to go on their holidays, then you hear this vibe. It's kind of a vibe. This music is it's a vibe that you get or you don't get. If it touches you, you can't forget it. Like, you have to go. You understand what I mean? So that's what happened to me. Because I started studying percussion in a music school in France, and I did a philharmonic orchestra. And I'm very sorry to say that, but I got bored very quickly. It was great,
It was
great,
on
great
the
experience.
triangle.
Yeah, triangle. And well, I did lots of things, but anyway, once I heard this music, I fell in love, and that was it.
That's a very personal question. Are you?
Okay. Well, myself, I play the guitar and the flute, the same flute as, which is not exactly the same, but same instrument, wooden flute. Jamie?
I play this. I play a mandolin. Do you know what a mandolin is? Well, it looks like the same thing, but when it's gone through a dryer, it's smaller. But it's the same kind of thing. And I play tin whistles and things like that. Yes?
plectrum. The
This one.
plectrum, is that it?
This? Yeah, it's called a plectrum.
Plectrum, yeah.
Because if I use my fingers would be bleeding at the end of the evening. And for certain tunes, I do have a big one, just in case. It works just as well. Plectrum. Big plectrum.
Well, we perhaps be playing last tune, if you want, before going. Yeah. So, with the bombard, and it will be 3 tunes. There will be a march tune, which is a composition that was made for the bagpipes, bagad, like Jean-Michel was explaining. Was a composition which was made in the 50s for bagad. And then it will be a dance plin, which is one of the dances, the old dances from the cliff. you very much. Thanks a lot for coming. Good night.